Toy Spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles, the new Batman Adventures, number 19, Bane. Bane contains 15 pieces and has just recently been released to comic book stores. That's where Spot ended up finding his. Comes to us from the folks at DC Collectibles. Comes to us from also the new Batman Adventures, and like every other figure, there's absolutely no read-up on the back. You can go to www.dccomics.com and also go to www.comicshoplocator.com if you are looking for a comic book store nearby. And Spot actually did use that service and found the comic book store that I go to now on a regular basis, so it does work. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, but when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the new Batman Adventures, number 19, Bane. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Just before we have a look at Bane, let's have a look at the flyer that always comes included. You know, Spot always does this. The figures from this release, or the upcoming release, is the original Batman from the animated series, the Riddler, the Penguin, Batgirl, Roxy Rocket, Nightwing, Bane, Scarecrow, Jervis Tetch, aka the Mad Hatter, and the Batmobile. Looking forward to getting the other figures that they're releasing, and really hope that DC Collectibles continues to churn out more and more of the Batman animated series figures. Super cool. One of the other things that come also with Bane, and try not to get him to fall. I'll actually just lay him down for a second. He's one of the issues I have with the figure, but he has a character turnaround stand with a 3/4 turn and full front display. Doesn't have a back turn or anything like that. It says the new Batman Adventures. Of course, like the other figures we've looked at, comes with a clear rod, which connects to the back, like that. I find sometimes these don't always, there we go, don't always click into place. And he also comes with the waist clip. Still, we don't really need this excess amount of clip, but it's not... Spots sounds like a broken record, I know every time I mention that, but there is the display stand, comes included with Bane. I would say Bane does need a display stand. As cool as the figure is, I'm sure one of the issues you probably could see right away with the figure is that he's extremely top heavy. This part definitely is a lot heavier than this part right here, and I find he just has a real struggle time to stand. And ultimately, I feel like the one thing that may start getting loose on the figure is his legs, just because he's got to hold so much of his upper torso up. It's neat that they would have given us the New Adventures Bane as opposed to the animated series Bane. I've always really loved this look of the character. It's not to say I wouldn't be excited. I'd be pleased as punch if we got ourselves an animated series, the original animated series design of Bane. But I love the studded collared belt, collar that he's got on his neck. Let's bring the camera in. I have two issues, I guess, really with the figure. From a standpoint of getting him to stand, yeah, he doesn't seem to do a very good job of that. But the other issue I kind of have with the figure is the face. I love the mask, don't get me wrong. I don't know if I'm super crazy, though, with the extra gray that they've added to the sides. You see the sides here? Bane's mask was just basically more black, and then he had areas around his eyes, but the extra allowance that they gave this gray covering on the side, I guess it's supposed to mimic the shine of his mask, but it ends up not looking so much less like shine, and it ends up looking more like part of the design of his mask. I wish that had been darker. I like the creases that they put on the top, but I feel like it should have almost been a darker color so it didn't all just kind of blend together and look like it's just one design on his mask. That's one thing I wish had not been there. But for everything else, figure looks exactly like how he does in the cartoon. And he's a lot like Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy, I feel like her as well as Bane here. And really, for that matter, Two-Face and Mr. Freeze. I feel like they're all channeling the way that they looked in the cartoon, and less like the figure. We've really never got a Bane here from the new Batman Adventures. We did get him from the original animated series from Kenner, so this particular figure, unless you got him later on in the Justice League releases that were the Matty Collector releases, which Spot picked up as well, that was the only way you could get this version of Bane. So it's pretty cool that DC Collectibles would have given us this version of Bane, but I'm hoping we still also get the animated series Bane as well. So very cool. He doesn't come with a lot of accessories other than hands, just a whole ton of different hands. He's got a total of 6 extra hands, because the ones that are currently in his sockets are closed fists. It's not really anything that he certainly can't break Batman with closed fists. He can do a lot of punching, but in order to accommodate any sort of grabbing, mauling, and potentially breaking of Batman's back, he will have to be changed out with a couple of open fists. The pegs are small, so I wouldn't change these too often. They seem like they're resilient enough that they would hold up, but just to be on the safe side. And we just unpeg the fisted hands. By the way, he's got, and this is the weird part, like I always wonder this when it comes to DC Collectibles. A lot of times the hands are a giveaway as to the fact that the character could have come with extra accessories. Case in point, a hand like this. It looks like it should have held something. As you can clearly see, it looks like it should have held maybe a knife or a gun or something, but he just comes with the hands themselves. A couple of regular hands, which theoretically doesn't really necessarily mean he would have come with accessories, but when you look at hands like this, I feel like that was an indicator that maybe it was an abandoned accessory. Same with this one right here. Again, maybe an accessory that they originally planned for Bane and got scrapped. But what I will ultimately do, though, is probably display Bane with some just grabby hands. I think it just looks awesome on the figure. And you can just have him just standing like that, like he wants to just cripple Batman. It's a great look for Bane. Another thing, too, I didn't realize this on the actual gauntlet that sits on his forearm. I didn't realize that there was this little gap area here. I, for a second, thought he was supposed to come with something else that plugged into that, but no, that's just the way his wrist gauntlet is. He has the same issue that a lot of Banes have, and by a lot of Banes, I only mean like the Kenner release of Bane and the Justice League release of Bane. He comes with a clear, well, not clear, comes with a rubbery tube, a red tube that connects from the base of his neck, or I guess really the base of his head, where the head is, and it connects to this. This is rubbery, it's got enough give, but of course being careful, you don't want to stretch it too much, and you really don't want to move the arm any further than that, because as you can see, it's going to start pulling this, and it's going to make it tight, and that's going to break. So I do not want that, especially for a figure this cool. When it comes to his articulation, Bane's head is on a ball joint. Moves very easily up and down, left and right. Shoulders hinge out. Just love the proportion of this guy. It's just so over the top. You'd never have a real life character look like this. Really skinny waist, skinny legs, very broad. Unless you're a guy that works out a lot and you never work out the legs, that's possible as well. He does have a hinge in the forearm, which also rotates the forearm. He has hinges in each of the individual hands. He has an upper torso crunch, and it's interesting to note that the belt is rubber as opposed to this being all plastic. Finally, the sadder end of it, his legs do hinge forward and back and out, but I do feel like these, over time, will get a little loose. So if you can, try to keep him on his display stand to take a little bit of stress away from these legs. He has a hinge in the knee, and finally he's got a hinged foot. It's probably to no secret at all that this is probably one of my favorites of the new Adventure Batman figures released. DC Collectibles continues to churn out awesome looking representations of the characters, and while some characters I feel carry more a update take to the original Kenner figure, Bane here, by no doubt whatsoever, I feel channels more so how he appears in the series. Not crazy about the extra gray up here, but overall a stellar release from DC Collectibles. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the DC Collectibles, the new Batman Adventures, Bane. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.